Hi guys, in this episode I'm replacing a left-hand side door lock in the front door on a BMW i3. This one is a pre-LCI 2017 year model, so just before LCI. I've got the replacement door lock here and I'll make a start. So as you know from the previous episode, the door got stuck because the lock mechanism failed. So if you're having the same issue and you'd like to know how to get around it, check out the other episode where I talk about how to essentially break into the car by peeling this skin off and then gaining access to the lock mechanism and then releasing it in order to be able to open the door. So now let's assume that you're able to open the door, and I've already made a start with some basic tools. So I've got the replacement lock over there. So I've already removed the handle, and you do that by using a long T20 and essentially just undoing that screw a little bit. You don't have to undo it all the way, only a little bit to loosen it, and it's in that little hole there. That's where the screw head is. And what you want to be using is something like this, a long T20. So that works perfectly. So now that the door is operable, we can proceed to removing the skin again. And to remove the skin, you've got to unclip it from the clips all the way around, and then once it's unclipped you can lift it up and out. And that's what the skin looks like on the floor. And these are some replacement clips I've got to go back on to the door skin on the reinstallation or reassembly. So this is what it looks like. That's where my mechanism is, and it looks like it's bolted on from the inside and from this side. So now I'll have to remove the door trim and this black plastic trim here to gain access to the bolts behind here and behind there. So let's go. So next up, removing the door panel, and in order to do that you will have to remove this little cover which goes just here and just there. It sits in there like that, so just pry it and take it out. There are two Torx bolts, T20 drive, and there is one Torx bolt behind here. So just pry open the little lid, this little cap, and you'll be able to get to the T20 bolts, and you have 3 of them in total. And once you get them out, you should be able to just pry the door card off, unclip the cable for the lock, unclip the wires if you need to, and just move it to one side to allow you access to the door lock. So now that we're here, I think we'll have to remove this cover and potentially try and get behind there or behind here somewhere where I think the bolt is that holds this lock to the door frame. And yep, you've got to get behind this trim piece here. So what I did, I only pried it slightly to unclip it from these yellow clips here, just in order to get access to the bolts holding the door lock, and there should be plenty of access in order for me to get a ratchet in there with a socket on it to release it. So this black piece is a massive piece here with this insulation that's all clipped onto the actual door frame, this aluminium door frame, as one assembly, and those yellow clips are super stiff. So get a massive pry bar. This is what I used, and I got into it from this end, and I've just unclipped this side after I've undone all the little push clips all the way around here, and there's one here. So it's a combination of clips like this and clips like this with a little Phillips head. So I've only gone as far as undoing that one. That's just a grommet, so there's nothing in there, and undoing that one there, and there were a couple here as well, and then clipped it off. I then raised the window and you can see where those yellow clips are. So it was clipped on there, and I think there was a few more at the top. So now at the mechanism, I can disconnect the mechanism, which I've already done, from the door handle mechanism. And there is a Torx bolt on that side, and there's 2 Torx bolts on this side. And this is the electrical connector, which I can now remove. So you have to release it, and then once it's released, you've got to go out that way, so this way, and then I think you can press down on it and pull the plug. There we go. And now the lock is ready to come out once I've undone those Torx bolts. So these are the 3 Torx bolts that hold the lock on. These 2 go in from this side, in there, and this one goes in there from the inside. So they are, all 3 of them are T30s, and I use the little quarter drive with a T30, and you can just pry this back enough to get access to it. There's also this little bracket which sits just there, and I'll install it back when the replacement lock goes on. So onto that, I'm going to pop it in, bolt it down, connect it up, check if it works, and then we can reassemble everything back together in the reverse order. Right, so I've just installed it back, connected everything up, bolted everything down, and everything works as it should. Just a tip, when you installing this back in place, it's always a good practice to line it up into position and run all 3 screws in, so the 2 at the back and 1 on the inside, just by hand to make sure you're not cross-threading anything, and only then tighten them down. Then you can connect this plug and make sure you lock the connector in place once it's clipped on, and then you will need to connect this cable for the handle, for the exterior door handle. Now this cable is quite an interesting one. So if you have a look in there, it clips on at the top, just there, and then it goes into like a little fork in there, and then it has to rotate and lock into place. So what I mean by that is, this is the top bit, so it goes into a little recess, sort of at an angle like this, and then it rotates down. And once you've done that, this top little bit is the one that has to sit in the recess, and if you look in there you can see that it's not the same diameter all the way around, so it's got to go on like that, with this bit pointing towards the door, and once it's clipped on and inserted, you can then rotate it and lock it in position like that. So have a good look at it. That's how it's clipped on. So again, in and rotate to lock. So now that I am sure that everything works, I can proceed to clipping this back on with those yellow clips and the little push clips and everything around here. Once that's done, I can reinstall the door card, put it all back together, put the Torx bolts back in, and then once that's done, I can move on to reinstalling the door skin. And I'll use some new clips on the door skin, and then that should be the job done and dusted. And this is what it should look like all put back together. So lock it, nothing, unlock it, and from the inside, awesome. So now all I have left to do is 2 screws here, 1 screw in there, and some little clips here and around there. Put this little reflector back on, little clip here, and I should be good to go. So I hope you found this useful. If you have, give us a thumbs up. If not, well, it is what it is. So thanks for watching, and see you again in the next one. Take care.